am sick of hearing the whining from Knicks fans about Tibbs. Yes. Do I think the guy deserved another year? Sure. Do I understand the move? Totally. You know why? Because I trust in Leon Rose. I trust in the front office. The same guy who hired Tibbs is the same guy who fired him. The same guy who has not settled since he's come into the position. Whether it was signing Kemba Walker and quickly moving on from him, whether it was making a cat trade to close the gap on an NBA title, which seems to be the right move right now, whether it's trading guys that we all loved like IQ and RJ to upgrade the team with an OG Anunoby. The same guy who has created a culture. Yes, Tibbs gets a lot of credit for that, but the guy above him hired him. The guy above him is the one who started this. Leon Rose is the reason why the Knicks are in the position they're in. He's the one who's put the pieces in place, put the coaching staff in place, has set the standard for this Knicks organization that was in turmoil for so many years. This is the same guy who has created a culture of development, has created a culture of expectation. He's made key additions, whether it was his first year, adding D Rose early in the season, which was really the catalyst to all of this. Yes, Julius Randle was great. Obviously, Julius came the year prior to Leon Rose. Whether it's signing Jalen Brunson and then developing him and allowing him to grow into the superstar, the guy we all love in New York City. Everyone crushed the move. Similar to crushing Thibodeau getting fired. Similar to crushing the cat trade. Similar to so many other moves. I crushed them trading for OG Anunoby. And look at where it's gotten us. He's the same guy who had the wherewithal to trade for Josh Hart, to sign a Dante DiVincenzo, to sign an iHeart, and Isaiah Hartenstein that you all love, but when we signed him, we were like, what are we doing? The Knicks have created a culture of development, as I just said. We watched IQ, Randall, RJ Barrett, Deuce, Mitch, Brunson, all of these guys got better under the Knicks regime. And yes, Thibodeau does deserve credit for that, but so does Leon Rose. He's been a cap master. Yes, we could talk about where they are in the cap situation right now. They still are envied by a lot of people around the league because as much as you don't understand, this team has a lot of flexibility going forward. Whether Brunson, his original contract, or his contract that he signed last year, whether it was Randall's original contract, Josh Hart's contract, the Knicks have a lot of value on this roster, and that is all credit to Leon Rose. And yes, I want to reiterate this. I felt Tibbs had done enough to earn another year. But also, after the regular season, after the Pistons series, I was okay with moving on from this guy. And it doesn't bring me confidence that he decided to tinker with the team in Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals. It did not bring me confidence that consistently this team played at its best when it was trailing big. That should never have been the case. It did not bring me confidence that in the third quarter, whether it was the regular season or the playoffs, this team consistently would lose games, would consistently come out of halftime looking lackadaisical, not ready to play. And again, I will love Tibbs forever, but at some point, a change had to be made. And I credit Leon Rose, who we forget, Tibbs is his friend. They have a very close relationship. Decided this was the best case scenario to get this team to an NBA Finals and eventually win the NBA Finals. And of course, whoever comes in here is going to have the pressure of winning an NBA title. That's the point. That's the job. We begged for expectation. We begged to have a target on our back. You know what? We've got it. And that's all the credit, yes, to Tibbs, but mostly to Leon Rose. And a lot of you are upset. I understand that. But you're acting like at some point during the season, you did not crush Tom Thibodeau. You're acting like at some point during a Knicks game this year, you were not crying on social media about his minutes, about his lack of offensive creativity, about the lack of, getting certain guys the ball when they need it. Whether it's shoving, I love Josh Hart, but whether it's shoving Josh Hart down our throats in the Eastern Conference Finals when he was the worst player on the team, Whether it's playing certain players at times that puzzled you, running Bridges out there, running his guys into the ground. And I don't want to sound like a Tibbs hater, but the way we've talked about this since he's been fired, you would have thought we fired Phil Jackson or Joe Torre or Bill Parcells. Yes, Tibbs is a great story. He's one of us. He rose us from the depths of hell. But so did Leon Rose. And I'm sorry if I trust this front office to get it right. No, they do not have the NBA championship like a Brian Cashman has multiple titles where you can always ride back on that. But nothing Leon Rose has done has scared me. Even the moves like a signing Kemba Walker and a signing Evan Fournier, which were bad moves. I loved them at the time, shows how much I know. He quickly moved on from them. At some point, things had to change. And it stinks, but this is the nature of the business. I don't know how many of you follow, but the NBA Coach of the Year, only one of them is still hired. And that's Kenny Atkinson, who won this year. The 4 previous Coach of the Years are fired. That's the nature of the sport. The Toronto Raptors fired the Coach of the Year. The next year, they won the NBA title. So change is necessary if you want to achieve great things. And how many of you would have been defending Tibbs if they didn't beat the Celtics? So what's the difference? Yes, it was a great moment. And this season will be a great season. When the dust settles, when everything calms down, we're all going to look back on this fondly. Similar to the Yankees in the World Series last year. I know it's tougher to compare, the standard of baseball, which is the Yankees organization that wins all these titles. But I do think Yankee fans, especially the younger ones, will look back on that 2024 season with great admiration, no matter how poorly it ended. And we will do that with the Knicks. But that doesn't mean we have to settle for just getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. And I commend the front office for making the decision. I do not think James Dolan pushed for this decision. I think he was okay with it, which at the end of the day, the owner still has to sign off on it. I do not think this was some grand scheme of somebody being backstabbed, as everyone seems to be pointing to. I'm not even sure if the players really crushed Tibbs. I can tell you this much, they didn't all come out and defend him. And I'll use this as an example. When Mike Brown from the Kings got fired in the middle of the season, the notion was not that the players didn't like him, but when they came to the players and floated the idea of firing him out there, no one came to bat for him. I'm not saying that happened, but clearly the players were on board with this, because I don't think the front office does this if the players aren't on board for this. And again, we'll cherish Tibbs, but I trust this front office to make the moves necessary to get better. There's very few things that can happen that could lose my trust with this front office. We'll get into that later. But when you look at all the things that Leon Rose has done, and yes, Tibbs did a lot of great things as well. But every time the Knicks lost in a playoff series, they were flavored. Favored, not flavored. The Hawks favored to beat them. The Heat favored to beat them. Both times against the Pacers, favored to beat them. Both times against the Pacers, Rick Carlisle coached circles around Thibodeau. Eric Spoelstra, circles around Thibodeau. Those are championship coaches. And yes, Tibbs has gotten very close a lot of times. It does not mean he's not a great coach. But it shows the gap between a championship coach and not a championship coach. And the fact that we're acting like this is somehow going to send the Knicks back to the dark ages, you're nuts. Leon Rose, we all point to Tibbs for all of this. Leon Rose has just as much credit for all of this. He was the one who hired Tibbs. Does he not get the benefit of the doubt when he decides to move on from him? His friend? How many times did you guys cry, whether it was the rotations or timeouts or third quarters or the lack of creativity and offensive schemes, the lack of the ability to draw up a play out of a timeout? I could point to singular, like 15 times during the regular season where the Knicks came out of a timeout in a big moment, and I couldn't understand the scheme. In the Eastern Conference Finals, it happened. Game 1, Game 2. A lot of the times it was just give it to Brunson and pray he does something. That's not how you're going to get to the promised land. That's not how you're going to get over the top. And it stinks. It does stink. And miss me with this, no team Tibbs that has fired Tibbs has won a championship. First of all, Derrick Rose never recovered. So the Bulls were not going anywhere. They were in a terrible position. The Timberwolves are in back-to-back Western Conference Finals. What does that mean? So again, I may sound like I'm hating on Tibbs. I love Tibbs. But I'm also not outraged that this man got fired. In the moment, I felt it was haste. But again, as the dust settles, I trust this front office to get the job done. Also, you all crush Cat, a lot of it getting a little weird at some points too, and I'll touch on that a little later. How do we know that Tibbs did not push for this? Do you think they're going to trade for a guy that Tibbs used to coach, and somehow he doesn't want to coach this guy, and him be okay with them trading for him? If anything, he was probably the one who pushed for the trade. And again, I'm just trying to be fair, because at the end of that Pistons series, I was ready to move on. And short of winning that Eastern Conference Final series, I wasn't 100% saying Tibbs had to be back. And the way they went out did not build confidence in me. How do you not make a timeout when Nesmith is dropping 6, 7 threes on you in the fourth quarter? How do you not double Halliburton once late in the game? How about you attack Halliburton on the defensive end? I know the Thunder lost, but the one thing they were doing early in that game was attacking Halliburton on the defensive end. How about you take Josh Hartall? Call a timeout on any run during the season just to break up the flow of another team's streak. So he was not a perfect coach. And I understand he's got a lot of friends in the media. I understand he's garnered a lot of respect from media members. These were the same guys who thought the Mets were out of their minds for firing Buck Showalter. And I don't blame them. I would be the same way. I would be loyal to somebody who I either considered a friend or had great memories to. Similar to a Jeff Van Gundy, that all of a sudden we want to go back 20 years and rehire the guy who quit on us. I know a lot of Knicks fans don't want to mention that, especially the older ones, but he quit on the Knicks. And that's your push? 888-808-1019. So forgive me if I trust Leon Rose, who has gotten us to this moment, who has gotten us to championship aspirations. Forgive me if I trust him. We'll get to your calls. We'll get to everything from how I want this team to move going forward, things that could lose my trust. There are a few moves that could throw me off and really have me down on Leon Rose. But right now, I am giving this guy the benefit of the doubt. I am giving this front office the benefit of the doubt. Because you know what? They were the start. They're the architect. They're the ones who put Tibbs in place and gave him the pieces to succeed. And a lot of the times, we've disagreed with his decisions, and a lot of the times, they've worked out. 888-808-1019. You can also hit me up on the socials. If you're on X, Pico_Day_Gallo, or on IG, Pico de Gallo 24. I always monitor the WFAN socials as well. We'll get to your calls, more on the Knicks, all that after the break.